Hi everyone, I'm Fidha Fathima and I am a junior clinical fellow in OBS and Gynae in London. I have come here today to talk about my PLAB journey as a whole. So I started med school in 2016 and I graduated in, it's funny that I always have to keep counting because I lost track of the years since COVID. So I finished my med school in 2021 and I made this decision to do the PLAB pathway after my internship because essentially during my internship I just lost all my liking towards medicine in general, and then I was really like I need to probably even switch careers, which I still think of sometimes even after being in the NHS. But I think the medical work life that I saw and experienced in India was really not for me. So I think roughly I would say in 2022 I made this decision and I sat my IELTS right after my graduation, which was I think sometime around in June. So by the time I got my results, the date had crossed to book your PLAB 1 dates. So I had to wait till December of 2022 to actually book my PLAB 1 date. And when I did, I got a PLAB 1 date for August 2023. Now this felt like a really long time of waiting for me when I had just got my results in June, and I almost changed my plans and I was preparing for something completely different, and I was a bit questioned. I was a bit confused about the whole PLAB journey itself because it seemed to be very expensive. I had to finance this journey on my own. I had a partner, but we both were basically doing our own expenses. He was the only one working. I was working intermittently and I was doing a side job, but we were also having lots of expenses because of the other pathway that we were pursuing, and also needed lots of funds to save up for PLAB and wasn't sure if we could really make it. But in the end, I prepared for my PLAB 1, sat my exams, and I got my results in September. So when I got my results, I was lucky enough to be in one of the initial waiting numbers post the result. And when I was looking at the dates, there was an option for some date in January. I was quite skeptical about taking it because I had no funds, no proper funds at that moment. I had no idea how much time it would take to prepare. I had no clue how to apply for the visa, and everything was a big question mark. So I wasn't really confident at all. But it was my husband who was like constantly being like, just book the earliest date, don't delay it further, just do it, we'll figure out the rest. We still ended up having lots of roadblocks in between, but in the end everything just worked out. So basically in September I got my results. I booked my exam for Jan 29. I tried and sorted out my finances and I applied for my visa sometime around October. But my first application for visa got rejected because apparently for no particular reason. The reason I got was actually that we do not see any particular reason why you need to visit UK, which was quite absurd because I was expecting the problem would be something to do with my finances, something to do with my travel history, because I've been a bit in and out of different countries, so I didn't know if there was any particular problem with any particular country, if they needed any PCC from a specific place and things like that. And this was quite weird because I had very clearly mentioned that I had to go for my PLAB exam, which is only done in UK, and all the shabans. So anyway, I had to reapply and I was really stressed because my travel date was December 3rd. I was also going through a lot of personal difficulties at this point, and I was very, very anxious. Anyway, I reapplied for my visa and I got it like 5 days before my travel date, which was really super stressful because I didn't know what to do. Should I cancel my stay? Because I had paid for my accommodation, I had paid for the course, I had paid for everything, and I was just like, I had got my attachment, like one of my attachments sorted for April. So I was really considering if I should just cancel this date, book for a date closer to April, because that would make it more efficient for me, because otherwise I was thinking I might have to come back to India and then go back again in April, because staying there in between for no reason would even just be like lots of financial loss. But in the end, the visa worked out. I got it and I moved to UK in December 3rd. I took some time initially to settle in because it was very cold. My room had certain issues and everything, so it really took me a lot of settling time initially. The other thing was so I did attend an academy. I attended Aspire, and one of the main reasons I chose Aspire was because they had their accommodation in the same place as their center, which was really useful for me because it was the first time I'm coming to UK and I didn't want to have to go through the hassle of finding an accommodation, trusting it. I'm a girl traveling by myself, and it was quite scary. Anyway, I started my preparation around 12th or 15th of December. And then I would say I did proper practice and studying and everything for 1.5 months. I could not really do any prior studies. One, I didn't have the material. Second, I also, like I said, I was going through some kind of family or personal crisis, so it wasn't really in a situation where I could invest time in studying. I was flying back and forth from the place I was staying in to my home place and stuff like that. Anyway, I made sure that I used my 1.5 months completely to the core. I had a strict timetable. I was making sure I was efficient. I would do my meal preps in such a way that I wouldn't have to bother about food for at least 2 weeks. And I really tried and practiced a lot. I would do lots of mocks. I would do lots of spam sessions. I would do lots of practice stations, whichever the academy would organize, and outside as well. I gave my PLAB 2 on January 31st, 2024. I got my GMC registration I got my results, I think, sometime around in March or maybe February. I'm not really sure about the dates. Anyways, I applied for my GMC registration exactly the day I got my results. So I had kept my things ready. So I had recently only applied for my good standing certificate because I had to submit it for my attachment. So I submitted my GMC application the same day I got my results, and I got my GMC registration in 5 days. This was quite unusual because many people I know have taken lots of time to get their GMC registration, but I feel as long as you have your things ready, and also if your application and things are very straightforward. So in my case, I had no unemployment during when I was not registered or any kind of all those things that cause GMC issues. So it was very straightforward, and I got my GMC registration in 5 days. I was also I had started my attachment from February 12th. So I had got 3 attachments when I had applied during my applications. So one was in London in OBS and Gynae, one was in medicine in Wales, and another one was in OBS and Gynae in Sutton. But when I started my attachment, the one I was doing from February in London, I was really happy with the team. I had lots of opportunities to do lots of audits, attend teachings and research. So by the end of this first month, I felt like I was already involved in so many projects that would take me at least 2 more months to complete. And I also felt like that this is basically what you want through an attachment at the end of the day. So I was happy, and I just cancelled the other attachments and continued in this attachment. And I finished off all my projects and work. Post that, I started applying for jobs. I was applying for jobs since the time I got my registration, but I was my only job was applying for jobs at that point. I came back to India sometime in April. I got my first job shortlisting sometime in May. I had my interview end of May, and I got my job offer first week of June. My job date starting was sometime in August, but due to some visa issues, I had to start mid of August. I had a shadowing period for the first 2 weeks, and then I started my proper work 2 weeks later. And here I am. So this has been my journey timeline wise. Financially, I would say I had put up a small reel on Instagram detailing my exact expenses for various things. But what I think was my rough estimate for the journey overall, in total, has been 7 lakhs rupees. But if you ask me what was the PLAB 2 cost, just the writing the exam, stay, preparing materials and things, I would say it was something around 3 lakhs. If you add on the cost of attachment, the stay during attachment. So in my case, my attachment was free, so I didn't have to spend any more money on it. But I know a lot of attachments nowadays have lots of like admin fees and things like that. So you might need to consider that as well when you plan your financial journey. How I would say that I have financed my journey has been completely by ourselves, but also we needed to take some help from, I would say, family. So I borrowed some money from my close relatives, and 6 months into my job, I have been able to make all that back and clear off all my debts. So I would say, as long as you have, you're working and you can put in some savings, and you have someone to like maybe just give you some extra help, and you land a job either in the NHS or back in India or back in your country, you can finance this journey on your own. Because one of the most common questions I get is people telling me that they have to do this on their own, them not being sure about getting a job. I know the job market looks competitive, it is quite saturated, but I feel that's the case with anything. So even if you were, say, whichever country you're from, I believe that the job market in your country is also quite saturated. The job market definitely in India is saturated. It's really, really bad. If you're looking for non-residency jobs, like what we say here as a non-training job, it is very competitive, very underpaid, and very much overworked. So I wouldn't really say that this is more hard, like doing the PLAB pathway does not make sense, because doing medicine itself does not make sense if your end goal is just getting a job, because the job stability that probably medicine offered years ago is not existent at the moment. So it is a struggle. So it's just about like which battle you want to choose. So whether you want to struggle in this way or you want to struggle in the other way. So it's just about a path, and both the paths have its own obstacles and difficulties, and it's about which one you want at the end of the day. The other thing is, and I know that probably people think that I was lucky enough to have got this job. Not everyone does. But I know, like, I had at least 30 or 50 friends I made during my PLAB 2 journey itself, like who I met in the academy, people who I messaged online, or people I got in touch with during the whole process. At least 25 of them have got jobs. So I would say that's like a 50% job rate. And I think that is quite good. So it's not like nobody's getting jobs. It's not like nobody's getting into training. Lots of my friends have even got directly into training. So I think it's still there, and it's just that job market is basically saturated. Medicine itself is competitive at every level in every country. So I would say, yeah, if it's in terms of like, do I get a job? Is there any security? Like, no, but it's hard, and it's hard like anywhere else. Residency in India is not an easy job. Getting into residency is not easy at all. So I would say pick your battle. So yeah, this is my PLAB journey as a whole. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comment box. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you later.